Welcome everyone to the June lunch bunch meeting for the Professional Women's Network. And can you believe it's halfway over in the years now we're coming up on? I'm really excited about our speaker today, Dr. Miluna, Executive Communication Coach on aligning your voice and purpose. Just been waiting for that one. Also, I want to have a shout out to June's sponsor, Tanya Montgomery, the owner of Signature Day Spa, where you can soothe your soul by the sea. Where else can you do that, huh? And it's eco, organic, and chemical-free spa. They offer facials, scalp treatments, waxing, massage, Himalayan foot soaks, and that's just to name a few. So call for your appointment at 626-1998. And then also a big shout out to Eileen Groves with Bookkeeping Central. She takes care of our PWN books and does a fantastic job, along with taking care of a lot of our members, including myself. So thank you, Eileen. Okay, let's move over to Marion, and she's going to introduce our speaker.
All right, well, we've got one of our own today that's going to be speaking to us, and that is Dr. Miluna Fausch. She's an executive consultant, trainer, and author of her new book, Uplevel Your Communication. She comes from show business as a professional actor and a singer with a BS in music business and a PhD in holistic psychology. Dr. Miluna has been helping conscientious high achievers from around the globe find their voice for over 10 years. She has a proprietary 7-step vocal archetype system and trains leaders in the art of confident and compelling communication, voice, and executive presence. So today she's going to be talking to us about aligning your voice and your purpose. Take it away, Dr. Miluna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Current world population, right now, I've got the timer here, 7,954,356,301,2,345, and on and on and on. In the world of almost 8 billion people, your voice matters. And I believe the more kind, intelligent, visionary women speak up for what matters, the more the entire world benefits. I believe that we must evolve and mature our language in order to create a world that truly works for everyone. Many folks I hear and experience speak at a very informal, what I call an adolescent level, without intention, depth, or a high frequency. My own movement is to show another way for those with a desire for a richer and more fully expressed life. It is an honor to be here with you today, and let's begin with 3 ways to make a difference with your voice. The first way is to stay in the present moment. I can tell you for a fact, distractions are only going to get worse. Your to-do list probably won't go away. Mine doesn't. But I want you to be here with all of us now. Be with yourself. Take a breath. When we show up in the moment and we're fully with and present for another person, that is the greatest gift you can ever give. Nothing can top that. And the miracles occur in the present moment, not in the past, not in the future, right now. Your personal power is right now, right here. And a lot of times when we're out of the present moment or we're in our head, it is because we're uncomfortable. A lot of us have stage fright and fear of public speaking. I know I did in a huge way. I had to overcome it. 80% of professional actors have stage fright. Did you know that? It's my own journey as well. I want to give you 2 ways right now to get back into your body, get back into your heart and into your core. Because what is stage fright? It's simply a natural response in the body to an unnatural situation, which is, I'm in the spotlight now. And so our reptilian brain, and from our history, that our body signals, uh-oh, I'm not safe right now. I better run back for the cave because a wild animal might be after me. So the adrenaline rushes to your body and it goes to our extremities, to our fingers, to our toes, and the blood and the oxygen rush away from the brain and the heart where we need it. That's why we forget what we're going to say. We stumble over things. So the first thing I want you to do is think of your big toe. Think of your big toe right now. Wiggle it. Think of it. Allow yourself to be fully present in your body. Right here, right now, with all of us. Take a breath. And the second technique to get the blood and the oxygen back to your core where it counts is to squeeze your butt muscles. So everybody squeeze your butt muscles. That will allow you to quickly get back into your body so you don't feel the energy going up into your head. You don't lose your connection. You don't become self-conscious, which means it becomes all about us and it becomes a monologue. And that's not at all what we want. We always want to be in conversation with others. So think of every time you speak or you introduce yourself or your business, you're giving us a gift. You just might change the life of another. And at a minimum, we definitely deserve your attention and your respect. This shows your level of self-awareness, your level of emotional intelligence, and your maturity. The second way to make a difference with your voice, don't turn down to make people more comfortable. How many of us do that? I've done that a lot of my life. And it's not a gift. It's not being true to who we are. Some of us are here to say things. I know one of my purposes is to say provocative things that no one else will say. It's very clear to me that's my purpose. So when you're going to say things and speak your truth, you will be judged. You will be criticized. And I want to ask you to continue to be who you are and be true to who you are. I see and feel that many women are uncomfortable with their personal power, and that can be for a number of reasons. Some of us were taught that we didn't have any power. Some of us are still feeling and understanding that we do have power. And as a response to our male privilege and the patriarchy in the world, many women have turned into what I call the overgiving mother archetype, showing up and speaking as the overgiving mother. And that's only one aspect of who we are. We have the maiden, the girl, we have the mother, whether you're a physical mother or not, you give birth to companies and empires and songs and poetry and books. We have the good queen and we have the elder, the grandmama. So the overgiving mother, easy for me to say, means that we're giving too much and we're taking responsibility for things that are actually not our responsibility. And so what is called for is an integration of all aspects of ourselves and a balance of the masculine and the feminine, which is within us. So I want to invite you now to claim your sovereignty and speak from your own inner voice and you're using your inner power. That's your responsibility and joy. And it's both. It's your responsibility as a business owner, as a woman, and a joy and a privilege. And it's your benevolent sovereign or your good queen that needs to be in charge. She's the one with the vision for the good of all and the power to run your empire. So think about that and using your queen voice as the leader of your company. The third way to make a difference with your voice is, I believe we've been conditioned as women, a lot of us, to ask for less or not to ask for what we really want. So I want to invite you to speak your truth and with courage and emotional intelligence, clearly ask for what you want. Because it is your courage and your vulnerability that now give me permission to say what I want, and then she can say what she wants. And now we can have a deep conversation. Now we can get to a point of a real relationship. Let's move now into 3 habits that are costing you money and credibility. Are you ready? So number 1, I want to invite us to speak with purpose and intention. What do I mean? Use words that matter. First, I want to invite you to remove the wimpy words. I call them the wimpy words. They don't really have a meaning. Try. There is no try. You're doing it or you're not doing it. And if you're not sure of something, you're experimenting, you're testing, you're researching, you're pondering, you're contemplating, you're not yet sure, but you're doing something. There actually is no try. Words like could, would, should, kinda. I don't know what those are. To me, it sounds like a blame word, or maybe, or sorta, or kinda. I can't really wrap around those words. They're not definite and they're not used with the intention or the meaning of the actual words. If it's like something, that's a comparison. I want to invite us to get rid of the static interference, which is all those filler words that you've heard. Like, so, you know, all of the things that interfere with our message. Because what I don't want is your message to be interfered with. It's tricky enough to be a business owner. This is not for the faint of heart. Honor yourself for taking the journey of entrepreneurship. So let's make sure that message is not interfered with. And the word I'm going to pick on the most, and for those of you who have my book, you'll know what it is. Guys. Please stop saying guys. The word guy is an unflattering word for a male person. It does not reflect an inclusive, global, feminine, masculine, identifying otherwise. Please stop using hey, guys. It reminds me of fraternity language or male language. It's male-centric. It's too informal for some countries in the world. So let's practice beautiful, inclusive language, which means leave no one out. Don't leave anyone out. The man in the room, the woman in the room, the person identifying otherwise, the person that speaks English as a second language, a third language, the person who has a hearing challenge. Invite people in with hello, folks, everyone. Hello, everybody. Hello, all. Hello, PWN Monterey. Hello, Team Fantastic. Hello, CMOs, CIOs, CTOs, CEOs. Or in a small group addressed by name. Include everyone. Folks will never forget how you make them feel. Number 2 habit costing you money and credibility. Please stop apologizing. Who says I'm sorry? Who says that a lot without understanding? I know. Could we please stop it? When we just utter those words, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Can you hear how that has absolutely no meaning or intention? We need to separate it from a real apology. If I have hurt somebody's feelings, the best thing would be for me to actually be in person or on the phone. Because emails, we can be so misunderstood. Texting, again, you can't read my body language. You can't hear my tone of voice. You probably can't feel my love. So let's stop apologizing and separate that from a true apology when necessary. When you just say, I'm sorry with no intention or without attention or intention, it's just two words. And remember the days of airplane travel? Yes, next month I'm going to get on a plane. I think it's been maybe 3 years. Shocking because I love to travel. But think of the times you're on an airplane. And typically, now I'm going to generalize for just a moment, but a lot of times here comes a woman and she has a big bag and she comes to the seat and she says, I'm sorry, as she moves into the middle seat next to you. Already apologizing. There's nothing to apologize for, you see. Simply say with your best courtesy, excuse me, I'm in the middle seat. Pardon me. That's a formal word. Pardon me. I'm in the middle seat. Can you feel the difference? There's a big difference in the frequency of that. Now, let's contrast that with the man. He usually comes in, sits down. I'm in the seat over there. Sits down, immediately takes up arm space, leg space, and makes no apology for taking up all that space. I'm not saying I like sitting next to that person. What I am saying is men are better generally at owning the space and knowing their value. So I've got to pause before I get emotional. I want you to know your value and know your worth. Please don't apologize. You're just great as you are. The third way that you could be speaking and it may be costing you, interesting, I said causing, a loss of credibility, authority, or trust. We used to say that we do business with people we know, like, and trust. But the current studies show trust is the number one factor because we've had such an upset with COVID. And at any given moment, there's a million things that could be distracting you. The Ukraine, the violence, the wars, always something. Our job is to stay in our lane and to stay on your purpose. Because when you're serving at your leadership and in doing what you love, you're benefiting the world just by being who you are. And I believe the beauty of women in leadership is what I call tender power or appropriate assertiveness. That's the woman who is the leader. So for virtual meetings, I want to remind you that we can see you. I can see all of you on the Hollywood squares. I can see if you're eating or taking a call or you're not paying attention. So if you wouldn't do it in person, don't do it on camera. That would be my tip for being courteous. We can really see you and we really care and we're paying attention. Now, in the US, we're pretty comfortable with strong eye contact, not so much in other cultures, and we're mindful and sensitive to that. But you want to be on camera about 90% of the time. So you'll see that I will move stage right, to use the showbiz term. I will look to the left, and then I'm back to center and back to camera. So don't be afraid to show your gorgeous self. We love a confident leader. We want to trust you. And you know what? You make us feel safe. You help us to feel safe. When we can see your whole face, we need to see all of you. Some of us are reading lips. I hear only from my left ear physically. I may also be reading your lips. We need to see all of you. Now let's take a breath and just absorb what I'm saying and think about your own life and your own leadership and think of something that you can do. Jody's stretching, always a good move. Write down something that you would want to change over the next day or so that you're aware of. And you can always audio record yourself. And I'd invite you first to audio, not video. Just audio record yourself. See how you're doing. Are you coming across as you think you are? It's a wonderful self-revealing method. Now let's move into the third topic today, how to speak with influence and lead your own movement, aligning your voice with your purpose. Number one, make peace with your voice. Even famous singers and CEOs say, oh, I don't like my voice. Well, I want to invite you to get beyond that. I want to invite you to make peace with your voice and know that your voice can be changed. You don't really think I started with this voice. Now, I always had a good voice. I've always been able to sing and speak, but I've trained my whole life for this. And if you look at any great actor, singer, poet, minister, great leader, CEO, entrepreneur, they have had voice coaching. They have built a better voice. It can be changed just like any other muscle in your body. When you hear yourself recorded, it can be shocking the first time you hear it, because now you're hearing us as we hear you. You probably noticed we're built like this. Our voice goes straight out. Our ears are like this. We don't hear ourselves as other people hear us. So when you audio record, you will hear yourself more like we do. And what you can do if you want to hear yourself better, you can speak into the corner of your room. It acts like a little amplifier or a speaker, and you can start to self-correct or self-modify. Oh, sounds like I'm a little nasal. All right, I want to open the inside of my mouth more. And I want to invite us to always think of your voice coming up and out. It is a living, breathing, to me, a multidimensional aspect of who you are. It has height and width and depth. It has love and purpose and intention. It has tone and breath and air. So think of, always imagine speaking from your mouth, not from your throat. Did you hear what happened? If I go down in my throat, I'm going to talk down here. That has no carrying power. It sounds like I'm lazy, I'm not interested, or I don't know anything about self-awareness. Do you want me to continue in this voice? I don't think so. Hopefully not. Plus, it's just boring. There's no variety. There's no shift. You might be already texting, wow, I don't need to hear that anymore. The impact is lost. Number two, ready? I want you to take up more space. Imagine instantly becoming bigger. This is small. This is apologizing. All of this is not who you really are, especially on camera, because now we can't see you. We don't get to shake your hand. We don't get to hug you, at least not as much as we used to. Take up more space. Back in my undergrad days, studying music business and voice performance, I was an opera singer. That's how I started. And I had a German opera coach who had escaped and come to the US from East Germany, Dr. Calder. She was an opera singer in Europe. And she said to me, "You're not taking up enough space." I had no idea what she meant. What did I know? I was a shy, little closed down 18-year-old girl. What did I know? Took me years to understand that. Take up more space. When you walk to that stage or you walk to this camera, I want you to take up space. I want you to be your bold, beautiful, full self. It matters. Nothing more gorgeous than somebody taking that podium, taking that microphone in full ownership of what they're about to say. We get to hear your story as only you can tell it. Number 3, practice does not make perfect. Practice does mean, ready? P&P, prepared and professional. It's not perfect, but it's prepared and professional. Give yourself the time you need to show up at your best and stay in the moment. This allows you to respond, not react or overreact. How many of us have done that? I know, because we're emotional beings. So our tendency is to react or overreact, and then we can't take it back. Practice means you are less likely to be interrupted because you have such clarity and you're staying on track. And that's a beautiful thing. Because studies show that women are 50% more interrupted by both men and women. Yes, we are interrupted all the time. Couple of tips for when you are interrupted. If you find that you are, want to take a look at how you're delivering your own energy. One thing I do, if I'm repeatedly interrupted and I can tell that the other person has no sensitivity or awareness of this, I might just say, excuse me, I really have to interrupt here. Perhaps a little louder, a little more assertive. I will just boldly say, I'm going to interrupt. There is another tip. Now, I personally have not mastered this, but I see women who do this masterfully. When someone interrupts, they don't stop talking. They just continue on. I'm not great at that. Perhaps you are. And that is one way to ensure you don't lose the floor. You may continue on. It can be very aggressive depending on how you do it. It may be the way to do it depending on your personality. Fourth technique and concept around this. When you are starting your movement, and most of you are already in your movement, very deep in, Doris is starting her new movement or starting the next chapter of her life. I want to invite you to choose words that matter. Look them up in the dictionary. Is that what you really mean? I love to look up words in the dictionary. What is the origin of that word? What does it really mean? Is that what you really want to say? Some of you are in the clothing business. So why not speak about words in terms of clothing? I know Marianne has an incredible system. Very specific, descriptive words about fashion, about personality, about color. How about if you're in the wine business? Have you noticed that wine notes and tasting notes, for those of you who like wine, have you noticed those are some of the most beautiful, colorful, flowery, descriptive poetry I've ever seen in my life? Who's noticed that? Yes, I read wine bottles because I want to see what they have to say. It is astonishing the words people come up with. For tasting notes, I would have never thought of it. And so now I learned a new word. How about studying a menu? Do you love discovering something, food, that you don't know what it is? I love that. I get very excited. I have to immediately Google it on my phone. What is that? We expand our vocabulary. So I want to invite you to see if your words are big enough. Because if they're not, it takes us out of alignment with your message. It might cause me to have a disconnect. I'm not sure what she meant by that. For example, one time there was a real estate agent. I was at a real estate meeting, and she got up in front of the entire group and said, "I'm not good with numbers." Wow. Wow. Would you hire that realtor? Not on your life. You don't have to be great with numbers, but you better understand the asking price, especially in a market like California. You need to know how to negotiate, and that's going to be numbers as part of that, making offers. It was a costly mistake, I felt. If you're in the financial space, you're going to need to quote numbers. You need to be specific. It's a lot of left brain activity. If you're a financial professional, you're a CPA, we have to trust you. It's not kind of sort of going to be $4. It's $4. We either can write that off on our tax or we can't. IRS has how many pages? Some of you know the answer to that. You know how long the tax code is. Embarrassingly long. It goes on for days. So I want to invite you to think about your words. Are they big enough? One of my superpowers with clients, if they say a whole sentence or a whole presentation, I can immediately tell which word doesn't fit. My supersonic and sensitive hearing and intuition and empathic sense finally revealed to me the deeper purpose for that, because it's one of my superpowers. It's actually a superpower to have this sensitivity. So if you're a sensitive woman, you're going to be drawn to more sensitive, softer language, because that would be who you are. And the fifth point about your own movement, I want to invite you to allow yourself to be in the spotlight. Allow yourself. Joey Garrity in her book says, celebrities allow love to be received. Most of us, well, I'll speak for myself. I was not raised in a family that ever spoke love language, not at all. It was a very abusive home. My mother never said, "I love you," ever in her entire life. Can you imagine not being able to express in love? So I want to encourage you, those of us who need to have self-love, think of all the things you love. And yes, of course, that includes your business. Of course it does. This is your superpower. At least I hope it is. If not, please start a new company. Please change your career. We want you to be happy. I want you to allow the spotlight to shine on you. And it doesn't have to be all the time. When you can go home and be introverted again. I'm actually not all that extroverted, believe it or not. I have to have my quiet alone time. I'm really right in the middle, the ambivert, both extro and intro. I bet some of you are as well. But when you're in the spotlight and you're introducing yourself, don't skip over your name. You know your name, but what if we don't? What if we don't? We don't yet know you, so don't skip over it. Just because it's familiar to you doesn't mean it's familiar to us. Don't skip over what you do. Maybe we don't yet know, or maybe you found an even stronger way to say it that's authentic to you. So please let that light shine on you as the leader, as the CEO, as the nonprofit president, executive director, as the way shower, the empire maker, the change maker, the person changing the world. Allow us to connect with you. open that heart, allow us to connect with you, and allow us to shower you with love and adoration. Do you love that word? When's the last time you felt adored? Allow it. Let people be your fans. Let people be in your fan club. If you don't have one, start one. Take a deep breath with me. I have no idea how much time is left. I think it's time for Q&A. What do you think? 5? Let's go into Q&A. Thank you, Marion. Thank you all.
That was fantastic. Thank you for being such an example that there is that up-leveling that we can reach for. I very much appreciate it, and I know everyone else does too. So let's go into some Q&A. Who would like to ask a question? Carrie, you look so enthusiastic.
Yeah, well, I do public speaking. And so one of the things that I was taken by, and I'd like a little bit greater definition on, Dr. Miluna, is the big words. So can you say a little bit more about that?
Big words, yes. Let me think about that. Let's say you were using big flowery language and then the word so came in. And it wasn't a so that had any actual intention. It would not be big enough. At the same time, if you're telling a story and then you say, so here's what happened. That's a very different intention. You felt the difference in my tone, the difference in the way I said that. I'm not thinking of another specific example right now, but let's say, yeah, the word but. The but, B-U-T, not 2 T's, like squeezing our butt muscles as we did earlier. The word but is an important interrupter. And we've been taught in the metaphysical world not to use the word but. And yet, sometimes but is the only word big enough. You may need to put a period on it. It may be for me like a piece of music that I now need to end. Otherwise, it goes on and on. And think about a piece of music without a rest, or it goes on and on too long, then it's not catchy, or our ears are getting fatigued, or we're thinking, when is this song gonna end? Does that answer your question, or do you have a specific sentence or two you wanted to express, Carrie?
Helped. Thank you. That helped. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. Marion.
So talking about the word so, that is one of my downfalls. I use it all the time and I know I do it. How do I break myself of that habit?
Record yourself. And when you do that, you'll become aware of that.
I'm aware of it. I just don't know how to break it.
You are aware. Thank you.
I'm aware of it.
You're a master at pausing and breathing. So I want to encourage you to keep doing that.
Okay.
Think of your big toe when you do it. Let's create a pattern interrupt, whether you immediately go to your heart space or you go to your big toe or you smile secretly, teeny weeny to yourself, and you're thinking, oh, I did it again. So there's no judgment, but you're observing, oh, I did it again. I just did it again. And the more you have fun with that and play and interrupt, the more it will disappear from your vernacular.
Great.
That's
I'll
great.
give that a try. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Marion. And
Instead
don't
of
try.
so.
Did you say try? You're not going to try, you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. You're right.
Yes, you are. There's no trying. You're a woman of action.
No more so, only big toe.
There you go.
There it is.
Love it.
And
Love
you
it.
know you'll remember that forever. That's
Love
great,
it.
Teresa.
Who else has a question? Patty.
So my question is also about words. You can tell that that is kind of our thing. And Marian, I totally get you. My bridge word is actually. I tend to use that word a lot. But my question is, when you're using your words and choosing what words, like when you're speaking, etc., do you need to take into consideration who your demographic is? So you know how in the old days, we used to hear all the time that when you're going to a meeting, you should dress just a little bit more than who the person is that you're going to see. Should you also use the words that way too? Because I know sometimes when I go and hear people speak, sometimes they use such big words. It's not that I don't understand the words, but it almost comes across a little bit condescending. So should you take that into consideration when you're choosing your words?
Thank you, Patty. Absolutely. And let's separate using words designed to impress or lingo or language that's clearly from the head or designed to impress. That's not what I mean by big words. It's very two different things. Yes, we always want to know the audience. Who are we addressing? Some of us, I can actually cuss like a sailor. Some of you will be shocked by that. Some of you will not. I generally don't do it. And certainly if I'm going to speak at a church group, there will be no cussing. There will be none of this. You want to be so sensitive to who you're addressing, as Patty said. Find out as much demographic, psychographic, age, income, where do they live, what do they value? Ask as many questions as you can possibly ask. And then you'll tailor your talk. Now, you'll never be inauthentic, but some of your language will shift. Dr. Brené Brown was asked to speak once, and I think they asked her to wear a dress and not cuss. And she said, I can't do that. I can't be your speaker. Now, she is in a position to do that because she's very successful, but she understood she's a jeans wearing, cowboy boot wearing Texan who cusses. And so she did not accept that speaking engagement. So good for her. That's not true to who she is. And that would be turning down.
Very good. Who else has a question? Sandra Collingwood.
Miluna, do you have a favorite public speaker yourself who might be online that we could watch? Or are there any celebrities whose voice that you admire very much? It would be nice to know who maybe you like to listen to and emulate yourself.
So many. I like Simon Sinek or Sinek. I'm not sure how he says it. I think he's amazing. He's always so clear. You'll notice he pauses, thoughtful. There are no filler words that I can see from him. It's so deep and so delicious. Actors and singers, so many. James Earl Jones, if that's not the voice of God, who is? Oh my goodness. I love Meryl Streep. Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Peebo Bryson, Ariana Grande, Barbara Streisand. There's just so many because they've discovered their own authentic voice and they're completely on purpose and they're completely expressing. Yes, and there is nothing more gorgeous or beautiful. That's that charisma. That's why we're leaning in. What is he going to say? What is she going to say? I can't wait to hear them sing again. And one of the best shows I ever saw in Vegas, and everyone made fun of this performer and nobody would go with me, Wayne Newton. He is the most generous showman, one of the most I've ever seen in my life. Now, he has a unique instrument. Say what you want. but from a literal entertainment, showman, generosity, incredible show.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us of some of the greats. It was good to hear their names and think about them again. I have a question. Could you expound upon the queen versus the mother?
Yes, the queen is that inner architect, that visionary. So that voice is full breath, right? There's no breathiness or Marilyn Monroe or anything that would be a sexy, passionate, or maiden type of attractive voice. It may be more steady. It has a strong tone. It has pure intent, very deliberate choice of words, maybe not so emotional. The mother would be the one with great access to the emotions. Actually, in some ways, the queen is a bit impartial. She cannot look at each person individually because she's looking at her entire company. So it can't be what's the good of one person, it's the good of everyone. So she can sometimes be a little misunderstood because she's got to have the bigger picture in mind at all times. The mother voice is the one to show your love for people. The mother voice is if you had to have a hard conversation, you had to fire someone, you would call on that mother, that compassion. You might get softer. You might slow down a bit. That's the difference. So the queen is in charge of the realm, and our realm is us, our person, how we speak, how we dress, our business, our home, our car, everything that we're personally responsible for. And then the maiden voice would be the fun, the playful. When you're with your girlfriend, sometimes we're bringing that out. The grandmother elder voice brings in some storytelling sometimes, the wisdom of someone who's been on the planet for so many years. Those are the distinctions of the four archetypes. And no matter our age, all those archetypes are within us, and we can call on them right now. And it's in my book, a whole chapter about vocal recipes, chapter 3.
Very good. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, Susan, talk about voices. I have been in love with Susan's voice for years, and she knows it too. Susan, go ahead.
I just wanted to say this has been so inspiring. It's just wonderful. And I'm in the midst of reading Dr. Luna's book now. And this has been, I'm really glad that I was able to get here for the meeting to hear you speak, because now I'll hear you speaking as I read the book. But just very inspiring for all of us. And I have the disease that Marion has, saying so all the time. So I am trying to find a way. So I will try your tips. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't really realize I'm saying it. That's so hard. My husband is being driven crazy by me because I never used to do it, I don't think, but all of a sudden it's happening. So I'm going to work on that, like many of us. Thank you.
Susan, thank you. And I'm pretty sure I heard you say you're doing it and you're testing it. Pretty sure I heard that word. And you can use a partner, someone who can say, I just heard so again. If you need a nudge, a love nudge from someone, that can also work. Because as you just said, Susan, you didn't used to say it, which means you can release this habit as well. It doesn't really take that long once we become aware of it. As Marion said, now I'm aware of it. Aha, now I'm going to interrupt it, and you can replace that word or just stop using it. You don't need the word so. It's 2 letters. You can bring it in from time to time strategically.
I want everybody to unmute yourselves because we're going to give Dr. Miluna a round of applause. She was a fabulous speaker, and we learned so much. Let's go. Something I miss is the applause on the Zoom. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.